Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and we're going to be recapping the Houston Texans free agency day one moves, as the Houston Texans made 6 moves today in free agency day one. Let's go over it. The Texans made 3 moves on the offense today and 3 moves on the defense. We're going to start with the offense. The Houston Texans today make their first move by signing former Houston Texan Case Keenum. A lot of Texans fans are really upset about this move, but I personally don't mind. I mean, think about this, guys. And honestly, I'm a Texans fan saying this, but who wants to play backup quarterback for the Houston Texans? I mean, a starting job, that's debatable. But a backup job for one of the worst teams in the NFL, I mean, who's going to want to do that? And this was also probably one of the cheapest guys to find. And also, you want to get in a veteran for whoever is going to be, whether it's CJ or it's Bryce, at the quarterback next season for the Texans with that number 2 overall pick. Whether it's one of those guys for the Texans next year at the number 2, you want to have a veteran. Now, this probably means that Davis Mills is officially out as a Texan. I don't know what they're going to do with him. Are they going to try to trade him? Maybe try to get a late draft pick for him. Maybe try to get a 6th or a 7th for him, possibly. Are they going to release him? That's going to be really interesting to see in the next couple days to weeks to even. Actually, no. Probably the max would be the draft, or a little bit after the draft, because Case Keenum is going to be the backup for the Texans next season. Whoever we draft will be the starter. So with signing Case Keenum, it's actually pretty obvious that whoever we draft will be the opening day starter. Case Keenum is not going to be starting for the Texans. Sometimes you will see, the backup, or you'll see the rookie quarterback sit on the bench for a little bit, a couple games, maybe a little more. But that, I don't think that's going to happen with the Texans with this Case Keenum move. With this Case Keenum move. I like it. He's a nice mentor. He's a veteran. He has experience in this league. He played football in H-Town with not only the Texans but with the college team, the Cougars. For a backup quarterback and to get him for cheap, I honestly don't mind it. I think it's a good move. I see a little bit of similarities in Bryce's game with Case, just a tiny bit, not a lot, just a little bit. So that's another reason why I like this move. I think that Case is not, one of the guys you look to mentor, but he can be a mentor, and he's also just a good voice in the locker room, even though he doesn't do much. And I honestly like this signing for the Texans. I think we're paying him a little too much. 2 years, $6 million deal. I think $3 million a year for a backup is a little too much. I would maybe like a 2-year $5 would have been good, or 4.5. But I think that was just a little too much for a Case. Moving on to the other moves of the offense, the Houston Texans signed 2 former Denver Broncos. Well, actually, everybody on the offense that we signed was former Broncos, because Case Keenum was a starter for Denver for a year a couple years ago. So everybody played for the Broncos on the offensive side for the Texans transactions today. You got Mike Boone and Andrew Beck. Personally, I don't know what to think about these things. I wanted the Texans to sign a backup running back. I didn't have Mike Boone in mind. I hope that possibly the Texans can possibly sign another running back, a running back that is better than Mike Boone, and then maybe you have a 3 running back set, and Mike Boone is your 3rd string running back. I don't think it's it for the running back market for the Houston Texans in free agency. I possibly could see the Houston, D'Amico comes from a San Francisco team where they run a lot of running backs, 3 running backs, even 4 on the roster. So I possibly could see the Houston Texans signing another running back or drafting another running back to be the backup running back, and then having Mike Boone being the 3rd string running back and having just a really nice running back team. If you're doing it like that, I like it. But if he's your backup running back, I don't like it for the Texans. I think you're overpaying him just a tiny bit as well. Andrew Beck, he's a decent tight end, but I think he's also being overpaid for the Houston Texans. He's getting signed to like a 1-year, $6 million deal. This is a guy who's a backup. He doesn't do much at all. He plays fullback, he plays tight end. I don't see the impact for the Texans. I think we're paying him a little too much. But that's just my opinion. Maybe like a 1-year, $3 million deal, $1 million, Ford deal. I think we could have done better with that, but whatever. And then let's get on the defense here. One of my favorite moves of the day was Chase Winovich. I mean, it's not my favorite because I'll get to my favorite in a second, but just with the price tag, 1 year, $2 million deal. I love it for how cheap it was to sign Chase Winovich. You know how obsessed the Texans are with the Patriots. They want to get former players and staff from the Patriots, and that's what they did today with Chase Winovich. He's a guy who's a good defensive player, had 28 tackles on the season, 1 sack. He plays special teams. He plays defense. That's why I like it. He can be helped to both sides on the special teams and on the defense. That's why I like it for the Texans. You got him for really cheap, too. He's the cheapest guy you signed today. I think he could have a nice impact for this team, and I like it for the Texans. And then moving on to my favorite signing of the day, Jimmie Ward. The Houston Texans signed Jimmie Ward, safety from the San Francisco 49ers. Last season had 50 tackles, 3 interceptions, and will be great for this Houston Texans secondary. And well, honestly, when free agency is said and done, will be the best signing for the Houston Texans in whole free agency. I love this move for the Texans. Can't wait to pair him up with Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley and whoever's going to be that second corner. Texans should have a great secondary next season. Already had a really decent secondary last season. Should get even better for the Houston Texans with this signing. And then the final one, you signed Hassan Ridgeway. I like this move for the Texans as well. He's a guy who was a part of San Francisco staff. He's also a Texas guy, played for the Longhorns, who I'm a Longhorns fan. So did tight end Andrew Beck, who we signed today. So you got some in-town guys that played to college. Case Keenum played for U of H. Andrew Beck played for Texas. So did Hassan Ridgeway. I like it. You know, D'Amico's familiar with this guy. I mean, D'Amico's brought in 2 guys from his San Francisco defense that he's familiar with. He got a couple starts last year. He got 7 starts, I believe, with the 49ers out of 12 games. And that's a huge defense where some players that, you know, are not starting could be starters on other teams. And I think he could potentially fight for a starting spot if he does good. D'Amico's familiar with him. You develop him well for the Texans defense. Could be a good signing for the Houston Texans, so I like that move there. You know, I think besides, I didn't have a problem with anything the Texans today. I didn't have a problem with anything we did today besides some of the money stuff that we were paying them. I think we overpriced some of these players, but as long as I think we need to clear some more cap space, because we spent a little too much today in the first day, and some of it won't even help us. I think the only things that will help us today is Jimmie Ward, Chase Winovich, and possibly Hassan. I don't think Mike Boone's going to help us that much. Neither is Andrew Beck. Neither is Case Keenum. So maybe clear some cap space. Get rid of Cooks. That's your next move for the Texans, possibly. Maybe release a couple players to clear some cap space so you can make some other moves in free agency. But you guys have your thoughts on the signing for the Houston today, the day one for the Houston Texans in free agency. I'll give us a solid B or B plus in day one, just because of the Jimmie Ward signing and the Chase Winovich signing. You guys have your thoughts on today's signings for the Texans. That's it for the video, and peace out. Go Texans.